There's something deeply sacred about the things we choose to keep to ourselves. We live in a world that celebrates oversharing, where vulnerability is often confused with exposure and connection is mistaken for spectacle. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that the more we share, the more lovable we become, that the more we disclose, the more authentic we appear. That privacy, real privacy, is not about secrecy, is about sovereignty. It's about owning our stories so fully that we know when they are ready to be shared and when they are still growing roots. You see, when something is new, an idea, a dream, a personal revelation, it's fragile. And fragile things need protection, not an audience. Like a seed freshly planted in the soil, it needs time in the dark to grow, to become strong enough to face the elements. When we rush to expose it to the world, we risk others stomping on it before it even has a chance to break the surface. Privacy is the boundary that guards your emotional energy. It is not about hiding. It's about holding space for yourself, holding room for discernment, holding off on sharing until what you have is ready or until you know who is worthy of hearing it. Let me be clear. I'm not saying we shouldn't be vulnerable. Vulnerability is essential to real connection. But vulnerability without boundaries is not vulnerability. It's self-betrayal. When we share our most sacred things with the wrong people, those who haven't earned the right to witness our truth, it's like handing over a glass heart to someone with greasy hands. You might be offering something beautiful, but that doesn't mean they're equipped to hold it with care. There is power in saying, "This is mine," not because I'm ashamed, but because I am protecting it. There is a deep wisdom in choosing to sit with your truth long enough to know the difference between what is meant to be private and what is meant to be shared. And here's the truth that no one wants to say out loud. Sometimes keeping something private is what keeps us safe, emotionally, spiritually, and yes, even physically. Not everyone you meet is safe. Not everyone is curious for the right reasons. And not everyone deserves access to the most intimate parts of your life. So if you've ever felt guilt for being private, let that go. Privacy isn't weakness. It's strength. It's grace. It's discernment in action. Scars stitched into the softest parts of us. The ones that shaped how we love, how we trust, how we speak or stay silent. And the truth is, some of those wounds are still open. We are taught to share, to speak our truth, to let it out. And while that can be healing in the right context, here's the part no one tells you. Sharing your pain is sacred, but only when it's safe. Because when pain is still raw, still bleeding, it's not always meant to be exposed. Unprocessed pain is tender, it's vulnerable. And if we hand it over to someone who hasn't earned the right to hold it, we risk that pain being used against us. Sometimes it's not the trauma itself that breaks us, it's what people do with our story after we share it. They judge it, they minimize it, they gossip about it, they twist it, or worse, they make it about them. And suddenly what was already hard becomes humiliating. What was already heavy becomes unbearable. Here's what I've learned the hard way. Not everyone deserves access to your deepest pain. That level of intimacy, that's a privilege. And it's okay to protect it until you're ready or until you find someone who can hold it with reverence, not curiosity. Keeping your pain to yourself, is it weakness? It's wisdom, it's self-respect, it's emotional discernment. There's a sacred timing to healing. Sometimes you need to sit with your pain, to hold it gently, to let it teach you, to write about it in the quiet, to cry it out in the dark before you ever speak it aloud. And when the time comes to share it, you'll know, because it won't feel like ripping off a scab. It'll feel like letting someone see a scar you've already made peace with. And if that time never comes, if you decide that this pain is something you'll carry quietly with grace and strength, then that is holy too. Not everything needs to be said. Not every wound needs to be witnessed to be healed. Let your pain make you softer, not smaller. Let it be your teacher, not your title. And above all, let it be yours. There's a quiet kind of power in not telling people what you're about to do. We live in a culture obsessed with announcement. Big things coming. Watch this space. I'm about to. It's become common to broadcast every idea before it breathes, every plan before it walks, every dream before it dares to fly. But sometimes the loudest room isn't the safest one. Sometimes the moment you speak your next move out loud, it stops belonging to you. Because not everyone who hears your plan wants to see it succeed. Let's name something real. When you tell the world what you're about to do, you're not just inviting support, you're inviting scrutiny, jealousy, projection, and sometimes sabotage. There are people who will nod to your face while silently rooting for your failure. People will offer advice laced with doubt or speak fear into something you've barely built. And it's not because your dream is wrong, it's because your dream threatens their comfort. So when you're planning your next move, your big shift, your creative leap, your quiet rebuild, consider this. Maybe the most powerful thing you can do is not say a word. Let it be yours. Let it live in your bones for a while. Let it grow strong in the silence before it ever meets the noise of opinion. Protect it like you would a newborn, because that's exactly what it is. A fragile, beautiful thing that needs nourishment, not negotiation. Silence isn't secrecy, it's stewardship. It's the discipline of knowing that just because something is exciting doesn't mean it's ready to be exposed. It's the maturity to move without needing validation. It's the courage to keep building even when no one's clapping. Here's the truth. The most successful moves I've ever made happened in the dark. Not because I was hiding, but because I was focused. So let your next chapter surprise people. Let them watch your growth, not your guesswork. Move quietly, strategically, intentionally, and when you arrive, whole, grounded, and ready, let the results speak for you. But we've been conditioned to believe that kindness needs to be captured, that if no one sees it, it didn't happen. That if there's no photo, no post, no applause, then the moment wasn't real. But the truth, the most powerful kindness often happens in the quiet, when no one is watching. It's the coffee paid for anonymously, the text you send to check on someone who's gone quiet, the forgiveness you offer that no one will ever hear about, the patience you extend when someone else is falling apart. These moments may feel small, but they're not. They are acts of spiritual leadership. They are invisible threads that keep the world from unraveling. Here's something we don't talk about enough. There is a difference between performing kindness and being kind. Performing kindness says, look at me. Being kind says, I see you. Performing kindness wants a spotlight. Being kind brings light. And listen, get it, we all want to feel appreciated. We all want to know our efforts matter. But when we start doing good for the recognition instead of from alignment with our values, it becomes about ego, not empathy. The most impactful kindness is the kind that doesn't need to be validated. It's the kind that trusts the energy you put out will come back to you in some way, even if no one claps. Even if no one notices, even if no one ever says thank you, because here's the quiet secret about kindness. When you give from a genuine place, the gift isn't just in what you offer, it's in who you become. You become someone who lives with integrity, even when no one's watching. Someone who walks through the world as a soft place to land. Someone who leaves people better than they found them, not for credit, but for the sake of humanity. And that kind of character, that's not built through praise. That's built through intention. So the next time you do something good and no one sees it, smile anyway. That's the universe handing you a sacred moment, one that belongs only to you and the person you chose to love in that moment. Keep those acts of kindness close to your chest like little treasures, because the loudest kindness may get the applause, but the quietest kindness, that's the one that saves the world. There's a sacredness to the wars we wage inside ourselves, the ones no one else can see, the ones we don't talk about at dinner parties. The tug of war between who we are and who we're becoming, between what we feel and what we allow ourselves to say, between the peace we crave and the chaos we've normalized. We all carry contradictions. We all wrestle with truths that don't fit neatly into sentences. And sometimes those inner conflicts are so complex, so raw, so personal, they aren't meant to be shared. At least not yet. There's a common belief that transparency equals strength. That if you're struggling, the brave thing is to put it all out there, to narrate your healing in real time, to process publicly. And while that might be right for some people, here's what I know to be true. Some parts of your soul are not meant for public consumption. You don't owe anyone a front row seat to your confusion. You don't have to explain your darkness while you're still finding the light. You don't need to turn your personal growth into a performance. There is courage in containment, because what lives inside you is sacred, and sacred things deserve reverence, not interrogation. You don't need 20 different opinions about what you're going through. You need stillness. You need space. You need time to feel your way through it without being rushed, judged, or redirected. And let's be real, some people just aren't safe places for your truth. They'll try to fix what isn't theirs to fix. They'll minimize the weight of what you carry, or worse, they'll use your vulnerability as ammunition later. So it's okay, more than okay, to keep your inner conflicts private, to work through your mess in your journal or in prayer or with a therapist or alone in your car when the music is too loud and your heart is louder. And formality silence doesn't mean you're avoiding the truth. It means you're honoring it. There is wisdom in choosing when to speak and when to hold. There is strength in knowing that just because something is real doesn't mean it's ready to be revealed. And when you've walked through it, when you've untangled the knots and learned the lessons, you can choose to share from the scar, not the wound, from the place of healing, not the place of hurting. Until then, let your inner conflicts be yours. Sit with them, listen to them, let them shape you. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Sometimes the most radical act of self-love is to struggle quietly and survive. People are quick to equate silence with weakness, with submission, with not having the words or the courage or the clarity to speak up. But silence, real silence, isn't about absence. It's about presence. A very particular kind of presence that doesn't seek to perform, convince, or compete. We don't talk enough about the strength it takes to not respond, to let people misunderstand you without rushing in to defend yourself, to walk away from noise instead of proving your point, to keep a boundary not with words but with your absence, to choose peace over being right. That kind of silence, that takes power. There's a reason stillness makes people uncomfortable. We live in a world that's addicted to noise, commentary, reaction, oversharing, hot takes. We've learned to fill every space, every second, every silence as if it's dangerous, as if quiet means we're doing something wrong. But sometimes silence is the highest form of wisdom. Sometimes it's the only response worthy of your energy. Not every accusation deserves a rebuttal. Not every